All right. I need to get a test real quick. To get a test for the sound, but I need to get a test for sound. For some reason I can't get to it on here. I don't know what that's about. Okay, so Shalom. Houdini Yahusha, man. Christ did some miraculous things back when he was Christ did some miraculous things. When he was walking amongst the disciples, he did some crazy things, man. Some crazy things he did. Okay. I'm trying to see if I can get this sound, make sure this sound is working. I'm hoping it's working. Let me okay, my live is definitely on. I'm trying to test the sound real quick. I'll test the sound real quick. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. I want to make sure I'm able to hear. Testing, testing. No. I don't know if anybody can hear me or not. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. All right. Okay. So we got volume. So now this message is titled Houdini Yahusha, right? And I'm gonna get right to it because I want y'all to see some things inside the New Testament about Christ that I thought was pretty interesting. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it. Now, not everybody's going to find it interesting. Okay? I know not everybody's going to find this message interesting, but for the people that are here, okay, for the people that are here, I got an interesting message for y'all. I want to open it up, and I want to go to Matthew 27:28. I want to go to Matthew 27 and 28. I want to know why I want to go there, because I don't remember that scripture. But I made it the introduction for whatever reason. Okay. Well, give me a minute. King James Online. All right, Matthew 27:28. Let's go there. Matthew 27:28. Matthew 27:28. Matthew 27:28. Okay, now, this is Matthew chapter 27. Verse 28. I don't think I want that. I apologize. Genesis chapter 18. Genesis chapter 18. All right, here we are. Now, I read this to y'all a lot, right? I want y'all to pay attention to this message, because this message, it's got some slick stuff that I want y'all to listen to, okay? I want to go to Genesis, and I want to go to chapter 18. And I've read this to you all before, right? This is Genesis chapter 18, and it opens up and it says, and Yahuwah appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent at the heat of the day. I wanna take a look at that in the Hebrew. Okay? The only way to really get to the bottom is to take a look at it in the Hebrew. All right? That was Genesis chapter 18. I'm going here on my little tablet here so we can look at it in the Hebrew. Okay? Genesis chapter 18, and it says, and the Lord appeared. It says, and Yahuwah appeared. I want to go to the Strong's concordance for that word appeared. I want to go to the Strong concordance for that word appeared. Okay? Strong concordance for the word appeared. And the word appeared is rawah, or rawah. Now, of course, it means to appear to somebody, right? But now, this is the Old Testament, so many of you don't think that Christ is in the Old Testament, and that's okay. A lot of you don't think that Christ is in the Old Testament, so fine. So let's say that this is the Father, right? This is the Father speaking right here, and this is the Old Testament, and he's saying, Rawah, and Yahuwah appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent in the heat of the day. So we want to take a look at that word appear. All right? And the Hebrew word for that word appear is rawah, right? And it's interesting that it means behold. Right? To behold. Now, it also means to take by surprise. That word also means to take by surprise. That's interesting, right? So he appeared, and he's also, it's like he's coming out of nowhere. It's a surprise, right? So that's very important. So Abraham, because I want to go to the second verse, because it says here, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, three men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. So he says, Abraham says, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo. Lo means out of nowhere. Lo means it was a surprise, means exactly what it says right here. It says Yahuwah appeared. So now we know that this is talking about the creator right here. I'm not going to stay right here. I'm going to move forward. But we know that this is talking about the creator because it's the Old Testament, right? So we want to keep moving. Okay? We want to keep moving. And now we want to go to Joshua. I'm trying to make a point here. We want to go to Joshua. And we're going to go to verse 5. Joshua. We're going to go to verse 5. We're going to go down to 13. Joshua 5 and 13. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold. So there it is again, right? There it is again. Abraham, in Genesis 18, Abraham looked up and behold. Behold means L-O. It says here, it says behold. In Genesis, it says and lo. So lo and behold means surprise. Lo and behold means surprise. Okay? So now, Abraham and Joshua, in these situations, they looked up and they were surprised. Bam! It came out of nowhere. Right? It came out of nowhere. Lo, behold, it was surprise, so it came out of nowhere. So now, this means that, well, what did Joshua see? And behold, there stood a man over against him with a sword in his hand. And Joshua went unto him. So Joshua went unto the man, and he said unto this man, he says, art thou for us or for our adversaries? And the man said, no, I'm not here really for neither, but as captain of the armies of Yahuwah am I now come. So, okay, so I don't need to read all that. So this is Christ, okay? This is Christ in the Old Testament, all right? This is Christ in the Old Testament, and pretty much he appeared to Joshua when Joshua looked up, and he said, and lo, or and behold. So out of nowhere is this creator appearing. He's appearing out of nowhere. Okay? So now, you all can believe this so far because it's the Old Testament. But as I go to the New Testament, there are going to be some things that many of you didn't grasp in the New Testament. But before we do that, let's go to 1 Samuel. I got 1 Samuel 3:21. I wonder why I put that down there. 1 Samuel 3:21. We're going to take a look at this here. 1 Samuel 3:21. 1 Samuel 3:21. Okay? It says, and Yahuwah appeared in Shiloh, for Yahuwah revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of Yahuwah. Now, that's a very, very important scripture right here. Okay? Many of you not understanding the magnitude of this scripture right here. And Yahuwah appeared again in Shiloh, for Yahuwah revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of Yahuwah. So he revealed himself as Christ. Because who is Christ? Christ is the word or the commandment of Yahuwah. So I want to read that again to y'all. Okay? I want to read that again because I want y'all to grasp it. I want y'all to understand how the Most High works. I'm tired. I want y'all to understand how the Most High works here. Okay? I'm going to show y'all how the Most High works. Now, it's saying right here, it's saying, and Yahuwah appeared again in Shiloh. So he appeared out of nowhere in Shiloh, for it says here, for Yahuwah revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of Yahuwah. So he revealed. We need to open this up a little bit further. 1 Samuel 3:21, because I need y'all to understand something very important. 1 Samuel 3:21. 1 Samuel 3:21. We're going to go to the Strongs here. And it says, and Yahuwah appeared. So we know what appeared means, right? So let's go to the word revealed. And the word revealed is going to give us uncover. So he uncovered himself to Samuel. So he opened himself. So in other words, he showed himself to Samuel. He revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of Yahuwah. So this is basically is saying this is Christ here. It's letting you know that Yahuwah, the Father, shows himself. When he shows himself with a body. You understand that? He shows himself with a body. So right here, you see he's got a body. Okay? He's got a body. So now, I want to go to Leviticus chapter 9 and 23. And I just want to show you something real quick. Leviticus chapter 9 and 23. Leviticus chapter 9 and 23. Leviticus chapter 9. Leviticus chapter 9 and 23. Leviticus chapter 9 and 23. And I want you all to pay attention. Leviticus chapter 9 and 23. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of Yahuwah appeared unto all the people. So if you all really want to know why a lot of the Negroes died in the Old Testament, if you want to know why most of them are in hell, because a lot of people really don't know why all the children of Israel this is Leviticus. Okay. So yeah, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna explain to you all why a lot of the children in the Old Testament, a lot of the Israelites in the Old Testament, I want to reveal to you why they're in hell. Okay? And this is also a warning to a lot of other people. Okay? It's just warning to a lot of the other people as well. All right? So I want you to pay very close attention, because I'm about to give you two verses that are very, very, very important. Do you really want to know why a lot of the people in the Old Testament during the time of Moses, if you really want to know why a lot of the people in the Old Testament that died are in hell, I'm about to read it to you. This is Leviticus chapter 9, verse 23. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of Yahuwah appeared unto all the people. The glory of Yahuwah. The glory. So what is the glory of the Most High? It's his body. So now, I want many of you in Islam, if you are a Muslim, I want you to pay very careful attention to what I just said to you. See, a lot of you Muslims, you're getting caught in your own craftiness, because Muhammad told you all, and you all believe him. Muhammad told you all that the glory, or better yet, the esteem. Another word for glory is esteem. Esteem is an older word than glory. Glory is kind of modern. I don't like the word glory. A lot of church people, glory, glory, glory. The word really should be esteem. So the body of Yahuwah, is his esteem. I hope y'all understand where I'm going with this. So it says, and the esteem of Yahuwah appeared unto all the people. So now we need to know, what people did this body of the Father appear unto? Let's go to Numbers. I haven't been in Numbers in a long time. Let's go to Numbers 14. Let's go to Numbers 14. Let's go to Numbers 14, and let's go to verse 10. Let's go to Numbers 14 and 10, and let's hear this. Let's go to Numbers 14 and 10. Numbers 14 and 10. So what people did the esteem of Yahuwah show himself to? Numbers 14 and 10. But all the congregation. So he showed himself to the congregation. This means all the ancestors of us Negroes. This means our ancestors saw the Most High. They saw him. It's right here. See, a lot of people thought that this was disobedience. Let's go to verse 11. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me? How long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them. Man, I know a lot of people is not following me right now. And this is what I don't like here. I know a lot of people are not following me right now. And this is sad, man. And it's because you all are not able to follow me. You're not able to follow me. And this is not good right here. This is sad and this is not good. So let's go over this again, right? Okay? But all the congregation, but all the congregation bade stoned them with stones. And the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. It's right here. I want to read. See, I'm trying to show y'all why our forefathers are burning in the lake of fire right now. Is it because it's the surface that they did not follow the commandments? That's the surface. But if they had believed, because Christ is the commandment. Christ is the commandment. The esteem or the body of the Creator is the commandment. Oh, man. I hope y'all following me, man. I hope y'all following me, man. I hope y'all following me, man. I really hope y'all following me. I really, really hope y'all following me, man. I hope y'all following this one, man. So I want to read this again. First of all, before I read this, I want to let you all understand something. I can't go to it right now because I've said it to you in my previous messages. Many of you, if you can remember my previous messages, when I went to the Essene Gospel of Peace, the 10 Commandments, the Book of Moses. Do y'all remember that? And I read to you all some excerpts that simply said that, where it said that when the Creator was talking to Moses, and he says that I am the law, I am the whole law, and I forgot what he said. But basically, the Most High, those were the first set of commandments that Moses was supposed to deliver to our forefathers. Remember this? And Moses came down the mountain and he saw our forefathers. He saw our forefathers worshiping a golden calf. You Negroes always like to worship what you ought not to worship. You Negroes always like to worship what you ought not to worship. You understand this? This is the problem with black people. White people, I'm not talking to the white people. I mean, they're welcome to listen, but we already know that the Caucasians and the Arabs and the Chinese people, the majority of them do not celebrate Revelations 1, 14, and 15. They do not believe or do not want to believe, or they despise the fact that Christ is a Negro. You understand this? So, if you're from another nation, you're welcomed. You're welcome. But I'm not speaking primarily to you. But I want everybody to listen to this message. I want everybody to pay very close attention to what I'm trying to say here. The Creator said in the same gospel of peace, he said that he was the law. He is the law and the only law, and put no other law above me. Remember, he said that in the same gospel of peace, the book of Moses. So we now know that the Creator is the real law. When you believe in the Creator, you are automatically, when you are a true believer, then you are in repentance. So when you make a mistake with the stone tablets, so if anybody that's a believer in the Most High, when you slip up with one of the commandments, because we will, as a mortal people, we are going to slip up with one of the commandments, or we're going to slip up on multiple occasions, because we're mortals. We are born in sin. This flesh is a sinful flesh. You understand that? This flesh is a sinful flesh. So we're going to make our mistakes. But listen to what's going on here. So let's go to verse 9. We're in Numbers chapter 14. Let's start at verse 9. And I want all of y'all to listen very carefully. He's still talking. This is the same children that were in bondage and then were brought out into the Exodus. So this is the same children that came out of Egypt under slavery of Pharaoh. Let's start at verse 9. Let's go to Numbers chapter 14. Numbers chapter 14 and verse 10. I'm going to show y'all why the forefathers are in hell right now, dying the second death. Numbers chapter 14, verse 9, and it says, only rebel not ye against Yahuwah. Only rebel not ye against Yahuwah. Neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and Yahuwah is with us. Fear them not. It's going to say, but all the congregation of the Lord, all the congregation, they stoned them with stones. So Moses and Aaron is trying to tell these foolish Negroes, our foolish forefathers, Moses and Aaron is trying to tell them, listen, You don't have to fear anybody, because if we not rebel against Yahuwah, Yahuwah will be with us. And you know what the Negroes did? You know what our forefathers did? They wanted to pick up stones and try to stone Moses and Aaron. It's right here. They wanted to try to pick up stones and try to stone Moses and Aaron. It's right here. They wanted to stone Moses and Aaron. These are the same people that Moses and Aaron went and risked their lives for and tried to take these Negroes and took these Negroes out of slavery. Yeah, it was with the power of Christ, but Moses and Aaron was about to get stoned here by the forefathers, or our forefathers of us Negroes today. Right? And as they were about to stone Moses and Aaron, and it says here, and the esteem or the glory of Yahuwah appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. So some people think that our forefathers never saw Yahuwah. I want y'all to know how dangerous this is. Many of us today will never get an opportunity to see Christ. That's why the scripture says, and blessed are those who have not seen. And blessed are those who have not seen. So it's telling you right here. It says, but all the congregation bade stone with them stones. So they was about to stone Moses and stone his brother Aaron, but Christ showed himself in the tabernacle of the congregation before everybody. And Yahuwah said to Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them. He parted the Red Sea in front of a bunch of Negroes. He parted the Red Sea. That's what he did. He parted the Red Sea. He did all types of miracles. He made water come from a rock. How long will you Negroes not believe in your Creator? Until today. Until today. You're not going to believe in him all the way until today. Until today. Let's go to John 7. Now, we're going to go to the New Testament scriptures. And now it's about to get a little interesting. So, it gets interesting now. Because now we're in the New Testament. And I want to show you some things about Christ. New Testament. And I want to show you some things about Christ. Let's go. Let's go to John chapter 7. Let's go to John. Go to John chapter 7. Let's go to John chapter 7. I'm going to go to John chapter 7. I'm going to go to verse 6. John chapter 7, verse 6. I'm about to eat late. I got a sandwich in that kitchen. I got a turkey sandwich in there. I'm going to eat it. That watermelon ain't cutting it. I'm just eating the watermelon because I had it cut up already, but I haven't eaten since 12 o'clock, so that watermelon ain't going to cut it. When I'm done this message, I'm going to go get my sandwich. All right, so we want to go to John chapter 6. John chapter 7, verse 6. John chapter 7 and verse 6. Now, I need y'all to listen. I need y'all to pay attention, right? It says, Then Yahusha said unto them, My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. So the punchline here, what I want you all to grasp is Christ said is my time is not yet come. My time is not yet come. My time is not yet come. Now, I want to go down here to verse 8. I want y'all to pay attention. I want to go down here to verse 8. This is Christ talking. This is all red letters. Christ is going to say, Go ye up unto this feast. I go not up yet. So Christ is saying to the disciples, you all go up to the feast. You all go up to the feast. I'm not going up to the feast yet. For my time is not yet come. I don't want y'all to forget that. I want to tell you why that's so important to this message. He says, my time is not yet come. My time is not yet come. So now, that's two times in 3 verses that he says something very specific. He said his time is not yet come. Moreover, Christ didn't want to go up to the feast. Why do you think that Christ did not want to go up to his feast? Why did Christ not want to go up to his feast? Christ didn't want to go up to his feast because he knew that the Negroes at the feast wanted to get him. The scribes and the Pharisees was after him. Okay? So Christ did not want to have to deal with the crowd of people and the scribes and the Pharisees. So Christ was an introvert, but Christ did speak. He spoke to a lot of people. He spoke to a lot of people, but he didn't deal with a lot of people. You understand what I'm saying? It says, Go ye up unto this feast. And it says here, I go not up yet unto this feast. It says here, for my time is not yet full. My time is not yet full come. So that's two incidents right there where Christ said that his time is not yet full come. 2 incidences. Now, I want to tell y'all why that was important. Okay? That was important because, very simple. I want you all to understand that Christ was not going to die until the appointed time that he gave himself. Christ gave himself an appointed time to be crucified. So it was impossible. I hope y'all listening to what I'm about to say here. It was impossible for Christ to be killed before his time. It wasn't. So in other words, Christ could only die under a divine appointed time. Now, I want y'all to understand why that's important. All right. Let's go to Mark chapter 6:3. Let's go to Mark chapter 6 and 3. Let's go to Mark chapter 6 and 3. Mark chapter 6 and 3. Okay. Mark chapter 6 and 3. Listen to what is happening here. Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and Judah and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. But Yahusha said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and his own house. That's an important scripture, but not for this message. So, listen carefully. I hope I don't have the wrong. I think I do. I'm looking for Mark 6:3. Okay. All right, let's go to John. Let me see if it's John chapter 20. I'm looking for something. John chapter 20. Okay. All right, go to John chapter 20. John chapter 20. I didn't want to go to this just yet, but that's all right. It doesn't matter. Let's go to John chapter 20 because I want to show y'all something very important. Okay? So this is when, see, I really don't want to go here now, but since I'm already here, that's all right. Let's go. So this is John chapter 20. Now, this is after Christ rose from the death. Okay, which is why I didn't want to go to this yet, but that's all right. So for some reason, I got a confusion there. So this is after Christ rose from the dead, right? After Christ rose from the dead, okay? After Christ rose from the dead. And we're going to start at verse 10. John 20, verse 10. Then the disciples went away against him unto their own home. But Mary stood without at the sepulchre weeping. And she wept and stooped down and looked into the sepulchre. So Mary, this is after Christ. So Christ has already risen, okay? He had already risen. The rock or the stone had already been removed from the tomb. So Mary, she don't know, she's crying because of her son, right? And seeth two angels in white sitting, the one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Yahusha had lain. So Christ is not there, but the two angels are there. And they say unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Saith unto them, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I know not where they have laid him. And so Mary does not know that Christ has been resurrected. She thinks somebody stole the body. And when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Yahusha standing, and knew not that it was Yahusha. So I should have said this. I should have brought this one up a little later in the message, because it's after he had risen. But nonetheless, let's keep it rolling, right? So Christ was standing right behind Mary. And when Mary turned around, she did not know it was Christ. So even before Christ resurrected, because when he resurrected, he had full power again, right? Because before he died, let's get something straight. Okay? Christ was a human being, but he did not have a biological father, and he still kind of had everything under control, but he put himself in situations, right, where, because he had to be able to converse amongst humanity, so he couldn't give himself like certain edges and stuff like that, right? But he did have some powers, right, that he had to use in certain instances. Now, this is after he was resurrected right here. So what you're seeing here is shape changing, appearing to look like someone else to specific people or to anybody. And I'm going to show you, because even before he died, he was able to do this. Okay? So Christ was able to shapeshift. Now, if any of you know that game, Mortal Kombat, right? And it's a movie too. What's the guy's name? Shang Tsung, the Japanese boy that can change into whoever he sees. I don't know, do we got to touch him or can he just look at him? I don't know if you got to touch him first, whatever the case. Christ ain't got to touch nobody, right? But that boy Shang Tsung, he was like a chameleon. He can switch and have anybody's face that he wanted to have. Well, Christ, this is where they got that from. They got it from Christ. Now I'm going to read this from you again. I'm going to read this to you again. And they say to her, Woman, why thou weepest? So Mary says, because they took away my son. She said, my Lord. She said, my master. They took away my master, and I know not where they have laid him. So Mary's the mother, but she's calling him master. So now that should ring some alarm, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter, right? And then it's going to say here in verse 14, where are we at? We're in John chapter 20. And then it's going to say here in verse 14, it's going to say, and when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Yahusha standing and knew not that it was Yahusha. So when she turned her head, she saw somebody behind her, but she didn't know that it was Christ. It's right here in the Bible. Now, let's read a little further. Yahusha saith unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou? So Christ says, Woman, why are you crying? Who are you looking for? And she, supposing him to be the gardener. God damn! Christ was disguised, or Christ had shape-shifted and morphed into the gardener. The gardener. It's funny that he chose the gardener, but that's for a different message. So it's right here. Christ is that ball. So she thought he was the gardener. She saith unto him, Sir, if thou have borne him thence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him my way. So she thought the gardener knew where this was Christ, but Yahusha saith unto her, Mary. She turned herself and saith unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Yahusha saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father. He says, But go to my brethren. So when he said to her, she said, Rabboni, that means, now it's funny because Rabboni actually means father, and Rabboni means master. So it's funny because Christ said unto her, Mary. So when he said that, she turned herself and she said, Rabboni? So in other words, is that you, Yahusha? Which is to say, master. Yahusha saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not. So he then revealed himself to Mary after this. So Christ can appear to be something that he's not. Even before he was resurrected, Christ was able to morph. He was able to pull the Shang Tsung on you. He was able to chameleon other people. Now, this was nothing for Christ. This was nothing for Christ to do. Let's go to Luke chapter 4. You know what? Let's just go over to verse 21. The hell with it. Because we're here now anyway. Let's just go over to verse 21 and let's read from the top. Let's just go over to verse 21 and let's just read from the top. Okay? Let's go over to verse 21 and let's read from the top. After these things, Yahusha shewed himself again to the disciples at the sea of Tiberias. And on this wise shewed he himself. There were together Simon, Peter, and Thomas, called Didymus, and Nathanael of Cana. All these people weren't the disciples. Of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and two other of his disciples. Simon Peter said unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, We also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Yahusha stood on the shore. Yahusha stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Yahusha. It's right here. It's right here in the Bible, and I'm hoping that I'm hoping that you're following me here. But when the morning now come, Yahusha stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Yahusha. Then Yahusha saith unto them, Children, have ye any meat? They answered him, No. And he said unto them, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fish. So there were so many fish on the net that they weren't able to reel it in. Therefore the disciple whom Yahusha loved saith unto Peter, It is the master. See, they knew it was the master because he told them, listen, just throw your net over the right side of the ship and you're going to get a whole boatload of fish. And that's what they did. They threw and cast the net over the right side of the boat, and they got a whole heap of fish. And so one of the disciples, now listen, therefore the disciple whom Yahusha loved saith unto Peter, It is the master. So the one that Christ loved recognized him. Now, when Simon Peter heard that it was Yahuwah, so Peter didn't even know. And Peter was the head of the disciples. So Peter wasn't as loved as this other disciple. I hope y'all understanding me. So Peter took the other disciples' word for it because he knew that he would know. So when Peter heard that it was the master, he girt up his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself in the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes. As soon as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Yahusha saith unto them, Bring of the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to the land of great fishes, 153, and for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. Yahusha saith unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who are you? Knowing that it was the master. So he was sitting in front of all the disciples as somebody else. How do we know this? Yahusha saith unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples dared to ask him, Who are you? They didn't ask him, Who are you? Because he was sitting there as another identity, somebody else. I don't know who. But he apparently had the face of somebody else. Christ used to do these things. Why did he used to do these things? He used to do these things because Negroes in the city wanted to beat Christ's ass. All the people who were in religion that couldn't stand Christ telling you Negroes about your worthless religion, Christ would tell you all, and you would get angry. And there would be angry mobs of Negroes, and they would want to beat Christ with hands and feet and stones and sticks and bats, and they would chase him out of the city, chase him out of the land on numerous occasions, Negroes, the forefathers of our ancestors, tried to kill Christ on numerous occasions. So Christ had to walk around as other people, probably people that never really even existed, most likely never really existed to mankind. Just a different face so people would not know that it was him. I'm going to read that for y'all one more time, just in case y'all not catching this message. Yahusha saith unto them, come and dine. And none of the disciples dared to ask him, who are you? Like, who the hell are you? They didn't ask him, who are you? Because he wasn't looking like himself. He had the appearance of another man. Now, I'm not done. I'm not done. Let's go to Luke chapter 4:28. Woo! Let's go to Luke chapter 4:28. Let's go to Luke chapter 4 and 28. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke chapter 4:28. Now, a lot of people hated Christ. There are some people that loved Christ, but a lot of people hated Christ. There were some people that loved Christ, but a lot of people hated Christ. All right. So we want to go to Luke chapter 4, verse 28. Now let's read this. And all they in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath. Everybody in the synagogue, when they heard these things, they were filled with wrath. When they heard what? What did Negroes hear? What did black people hear in the synagogue that made them all so angry? What was it? What was it? It was just the truth. That's all it was. All it was the truth. The truth, and Negroes was mad. That's all. It was just the truth. So it says we're filled with wrath. So these Negroes were filled with wrath. How many of you are filled with wrath at me? How many of you have a great wrath for me? A wrath. Now, and rose up and thrust him out of the city. So these Negroes were so angry at Christ. I don't know how many of them, maybe a gang. It was a gang, maybe. Or, I don't know, maybe it was some entertainers back in the day, maybe some rappers. Maybe it was some people who were worshiping false gods. Maybe it was a mob type of situation going on. Maybe it was the Sanhedrin. We don't know exactly, but we know it was Negroes that didn't like the truth, and they were angry. And what did they do? they thrust Christ out of the city and they kicked him out the city and led him into the brow of a hill. So they backed Christ up against a cliff. So Christ was running. Christ was like, ah man. Now, Christ, listen. Oh, that's what I put that up there for. Okay. Well, let me get back to that in a minute. So Christ running, right? And he comes to a cliff. Now, Christ could have jumped and flew if he wanted to, right? But see, you got to understand something. People say, well, if he was God, right, how does God get himself, right, caught up into these situations here, right? He's supposed to be God. He's supposed to be the creator. He's supposed to be all of these things. Well, if he's all of these things, how is people chasing him down and doing this and doing that, right? Well, it's because he had to play his part. He didn't want to put himself, he didn't want to take advantage. The purpose of Christ was to come down here and converse amongst his people without taking advantage, without abusing his power. Don't y'all understand that? He didn't want to abuse his power. But he used his power, right? He obviously used some power, but he used it in a harmless way, right? He didn't use it to attack people, put hands and feet on people. He didn't use it to harm his people. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't want to harm his people. So now I say right here, right? It says, and rose up and thrust him out of the city and led him into the brow of the hill whereon their city was built. So he was backed up against a cliff. And they might cast him down headlong. So they wanted to throw Christ, these Negroes, the ancestors of our forefathers, wanted to throw the Messiah off the cliff. For what? What did Negroes want to throw the Messiah off the cliff for? For telling the truth. That's all he did. He did it in an austere way, but that's all he did was tell the truth. And Negroes got angry. Now, Negroes got angry. Now, let's keep going. Now, listen. So they was backing him up against the wall. It was backing him up against the wall. And Christ, verse 30, backing him up off the cliff, right? And Christ, but he, passing through the midst of them, went his way. So Christ passed through the midst of the Negroes, of the angry mob. So you got an angry mob, and Christ passed through the midst of them. Now, let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think that means he ran through the Negroes and overpowered them all, and they was trying to hold him, and they just couldn't hold him, and he was taking Negroes and yanking them and throwing them, and then ran right through them? No. That's not what it meant. What's that, verse 30? So if we go to the Greek here for the word pass, it's the Greek 1330. Well, let me see something. So I want to keep going to some roots here for a minute. It says to pass through or to go over or to pass over or to pass by. But we know it had to be a little deeper than that. So it means to avoid, but it's deeper than this, right? And I'm trying to go to the roots here. Okay, so it's just giving us pass over, but uh, let's. It's hard for me to say let's use common sense, right? It's hard for me to say that, right? It's hard for me to say let's use common sense, right? It's hard for me to say these things because right here, common sense ain't gonna work for this. So we need to get something straight, right? Christ did not use force. Christ never used force on anybody. Okay? And that's the reason why a lot of people disrespect the Messiah to this day. Because he wasn't a forceful person, he wasn't a violent person, right? But it's here, and it says here because they had him against a cliff, and then it says here that he, passing through the midst of them, went his way. So it's hard for me to explain that. I mean, I know what happened, but it's hard. Sometimes you have to use the active spirit of Christ. So right here is not saying that Christ ran through people and overpowered everybody, knocked everybody aside. That's not what he did because he never used his powers like that. He could have, if he wanted to, Christ could have murked everybody. He was the Most High. But you need to understand and you need to listen right here, because it's really only giving us passing. It says to go over, to pass over, but it's also at one point it gives us the second voice, and I cannot get too deep into that right now. The second voice is actually the Son. Elohim is composited of, it's really just one person, but it's composited of the Father, the Son, and the set apart Spirit, right? Which is one person, but they go by first, second, and third voice. All the same voice, but they go by first voice, the Father, second voice, the Son, third voice, the Ruach. So when you root, keep rooting the word passing, it goes to second voice. Okay? In many applications, when it uses the second voice, it's transferring from solid to gas. And that's why I say I don't really got time for all that tonight because it's late, but I still got to go do something for my mom at the house. So I can't be all night with this. But let me say that again. The second voice can mean transferring from solid to gas. So when you look at it from that perspective, Christ didn't just say, get out of my way and move and through there. That's not what happened. He evaded them. He escaped. You understand this? Now, let's go to John 8:54. Let's go to John 8:54. We're almost done. Let's go to John 8. This message is not that long. Let's go to John chapter 8. Message is almost done. Let's go to John chapter 8:54. Or is it 59? Might have been 59. Well, let's start at 54. Let's start at 54. So now, here we go, another situation, right? Matter of fact, let's go to verse 52. This is John chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 52. This is John chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 52, right? And it says, then said the Negroes unto him. Unto who? Unto Christ. Now we know that thou hast a devil. See that? You know how many people say that I have a devil? Now, I'm not comparing myself to Christ, but you know how many people are so wicked? How many of you Negroes are so evil and so wicked that you would point at me and say that I have a devil? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm just like everybody else. I have iniquities. You know, we all fall short, of course. But to say that this is what they said to Christ. They said, you got a devil on you. An evil, wicked people would go and tell Christ that he has a devil. He says, Abraham is dead, and the prophets, and thou sayest, if a man keep my saying, he shall never taste of death. So Christ told them right above this, in verse 51, he said, verily, I say unto you, if a man keep my saying, he shall never see death. So the Negroes is like, listen here, Abraham is dead, and the prophets, we're not listening to you. You know how many people were like that with me? But these people, they were of the law of Moses. They worshiped Moses. They didn't even have the sense, if you was going to worship a man other than Christ, at least let it be Abraham, whom Christ says, be like him and Sarah. Christ said, if you want to follow after righteousness, then look unto Abraham and look unto Sarah if you want to be a right. But no, they couldn't even do that. They looked unto Moses, their hope, and called me a devil. This is how wicked Negroes are. So you all think that nobody can be a prophet of the Most High today. Nobody. He says, art thou greater than our father Abraham? Look, do y'all know who y'all do our forefathers know who they were even talking to? So they so mad at Christ. They said, man, are you greater than Abraham, which is dead? And the prophets are dead? Who makest thou thyself? Who are you making yourself out to be? Mortal, who are you making yourself out to be, Negro? Who are you? Who do you think, in other words, you saying you better than Abraham and the prophets? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Christ saith, if I honored myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom ye say, that is not your judge. see what made people so mad with Christ? So so Christ is calling himself, he's calling himself the Most High right here. No, you don't think so? Let me read it again. So they're asking him, who do you make? Because listen to what he said. He said, if you keep my commandments, if I walked around the street telling people to keep my commandments, who does that make me? I mean, I'm a nobody, but who would I be self-proclaiming to be if I was walking around telling Negroes to keep my commandments? Who would I be? Right? Who would I be? Right? So Christ is going to say, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father. So, damn. So Christ said, I don't got to honor myself. The Creator respects me. The Creator respects me. He say, the Father honoreth me, of whom ye all say, that is not your Creator. That is not your power. Ye have not known him. Now Christ's going to really get up underneath their skin. Now he's going to dig up underneath the skin of these Negroes and make these Negroes very, very angry. Because everybody wants to be self-righteous, whether it's in the truth or whether it's in a false religion with a false God. No matter the case, everybody wants to be righteous. But they want to be righteous leaning under their own understanding, or you want to be righteous based upon falsehood and lies. You don't want to be righteous by being righteous, which is the only way that you can be righteous is to stand with the immediate supervisor, Yahusha HaMashiach. That's the only way that you can be righteous. And what it says here, he says, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. He says, it is my Father that honoreth me. Damn, he said, the Father honor me, of whom you Negroes say, this is not your power. He says, yet ye have not known him. So you Negroes, you wicked Negroes out there, you Negroes who think that you're righteous, you all who are in LGBTQ, you all whom are in false religions, you all whom are arrogant or narcissists, you all whom are slanderers, you all whom are liars, you all whom are envious and jealous, right? He says here, ye have not known him, you don't know the Most High. He says, but I know him, and if I should say, I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you. Damn. He said, I shall be a liar like unto you. But I know him and keep his saying. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Ooh! I know them Negroes was hot. So they're going to say to him, then said the Jews unto him, thou art not even 50 years old, and hast seen Abraham? How you see Abraham? Now here it go right here. Here go what he say right here that knock the socks off Negroes and make Negroes want to put hands and feet on him. This is what makes Negroes right here want to put hands and feet on Christ. This one right here. They say, man, you're not even 50 years old. How in the hell could you have known Abraham of the Old Testament? Yahusha saith unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, before Abraham, I existed. Damn! Before Abraham, I am immortal. Now here go the punchline right here. Why did I read all of that? Then took up the stones. Then took they up the stones. Then the Negroes picked up the rocks and the stones and cast at Christ. But Yahusha hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. You see, Christ was not just, he wasn't running away. Because, listen, they tried to beat him with stones, right? But Yahusha hid himself. He hid himself and went out of the temple. So he hid himself before he left the temple. Let me read that again. So, just so you need to understand, let's go and take a look at that word hid. This is John chapter 8 and 59. He hid himself. So he concealed himself. Do y'all know what that means? Does anybody know what it meant right here when it says he hid himself and he concealed himself? It also says keep secret. So he had a covering. So basically, what Christ did right here was he became invisible. Christ became invisible, and then he went out of the temple, going through the midst of them. How could he have went through the midst of them if they would have saw him? So again, either what Christ is doing, either he's doing one of the other. I believe he's actually becoming invisible. I don't think he's necessarily turning into gas, which we know he's capable of doing too. But more so here, I think there's another verse where I can prove that. But I don't have it down here, and I don't have time tonight. But Christ is actually becoming invisible, and he's moving through the crowds and escaping. Now, let me go back up to why is he doing all of this? Remember this verse right here? Do y'all remember that? We're almost done. Remember this verse right here? Let's go to John chapter 7. Why people are like, well, why don't Christ just stand up and fight? Well, let me tell you, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay? I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let's go to John chapter 7, verse 6. Yahusha said unto them, my time is not yet come. 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 So his time did not come yet. So if you want to know why he's turning invisible, why he's doing all these morphing, now, after he rose from the death, he did the Shang Tsung. He morphed. But I think I have an incident where he did it before he died. Mark chapter 16. Mark chapter 16. Mark chapter 16. And I want to go to verse 12. Mark chapter 16, and I want to go to verse 12. After that, he appeared in another form unto two of them as they walked and went into the country. So, okay, so this is actually after he resurrected too. So this is pretty much another situation of after he morphed. But I do got some scriptures where Christ did morph prior to being resurrected. But I hope you all enjoyed this because I gotta go do a quick something for my mids, and then I need to get me some sleep. So tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow, right? I'll post some content, and then I'm gonna take Saturday and Sunday off. So I hope you all enjoyed this message right here. So Christ was not an average man. So if you're in religion and you think that Christ was an ordinary man, there was nothing ordinary about Christ. Christ was not ordinary, not at all. Not at all was Christ ordinary. All right? He was something different. Christ was capable of doing things that nobody else was capable of doing. All right? Shalom.